Hello, my name is Justin Coffey, and this is my submission for Module 5 and my analysis of my community, Dodge City, Kansas. Some of the customs and traditions of Dodge City, Kansas. It's a historic rural town of about 28,000 people in southwest Kansas, and it was built on a foundation of agriculture. Traditionally, Dodge City holds a conservative viewpoint and it has a strong feeling for family values. And some of the characteristics of the people in Dodge City is that they believe in hard work and work ethic. Dodge City has something you should know about Dodge City is we have two large meat packing plants, and those meat packing plants employ more than 5,000 people, and so that's a huge part of our community, and it shapes the customs and traditions of our community for sure. Conservative values sometimes make it difficult for change in our community. Kind of the whole concept of conservative is to conserve the traditions. And so new concepts or new ideas aren't typically taken well in the community, or at least they need some convincing before they're ready to make some changes. A little bit about our population is about 60% Hispanic, 30% white, and about 3% black. Agriculture is where most of our employment opportunities are at, and so there's farming and ranching opportunities along with the meat processing at the two plants. The median age of Dodge City is 29, and I think that that's kind of interesting. That feels kind of young. There's kind of two different sects in Dodge City, and one of those sects is the old the old people that live in Dodge City, and then a lot of the people that live in Dodge City are young and looking for opportunities. So there's kind of two different population types in Dodge City, I feel like. It is 52% male and 48% female, and 68% of the people that live in Dodge City have at least a high school diploma, and about 17% have a bachelor's degree or higher. For communication channels, we're limited out here in southwest Kansas with our communication, but we do have a daily newspaper, the Dodge City Daily Globe, although that has been declining in subscriptions a lot lately, I think especially with the internet, and so it's not as widely read as it used to be. We do have quite a few radio stations in both English and Spanish. And I think one of the newest ways that people are getting information today is through social media or electronic communication like texts and websites. Our school district does have an app that's available in the App Store, and so that's one way that our district chooses to communicate with stakeholders. And then there's also a service where they send texts and emails to parents to relay information. Our district does have a cable TV channel that they use to put out information, or sometimes they use it to broadcast games or plays, and so that's a good communication channel to the community. And one thing to know about Dodge City is that effective communication has to be done in at least English and Spanish, and we are starting to get more and more people in our community who speak a variety of different languages, but for sure English and Spanish are essential if you want to communicate to the community. We have lots of community groups, so it's hard for me to put together a comprehensive list. But what I do know is that religious groups are a big part of the community. People are really connected to their churches here, and so there's all kinds of groups and communities that are centered around the different churches that we have in our community, and we have quite a few churches in Dodge City. There are other kind of fraternal groups like the Knights of Columbus, the Lions Club, the VFW, and there are several other community groups like that that get together and meet once a week or once a month. And of course, there's many civic organizations that do a lot of community service for the community of Dodge City. And my general feeling is that these groups are not very political, and certainly there aren't any groups who are creating any problems for the school district or anything like that. They're pretty cohesive and work together with different church groups, work together to come together on projects. And so the political aspect and the clash with the school district is not a problem as of yet in Dodge City. What you should know about Dodge City leadership is there are a few influential families, and those are families who have lived in Dodge for quite a long time. They're connected with lots of different people, and usually they're pretty affluent families, and those families seem to have some influence over the masses in Dodge City. And I think that's probably pretty common in a lot of small communities, but it's certainly common in Dodge, or it's true in Dodge City. Another group of leaders that play a big role in our community are the religious leaders. And so the heads of all the different churches, they help collect resources, they help organize events, and again, they have influence over a lot of people in Dodge City. We also have our city council and our mayor, and our city council is well respected, and of course they're elected officials, and I feel like they have quite a bit of influence over what happens in the city, and a strong following. And of course we have our school board, of course also elected officials, and again, no controversy. I feel like our school board works well together, and they're on the same page, and they're working to get things accomplished. And we have a new superintendent. This is his second year, I believe, in the school district, and so he is doing well in Dodge City, and seems to be working with our school board really nicely. Another leader that I thought I should mention is Jackie Feist, and she's the principal at Dodge City High School, and she's pretty influential in the community. She's really good at her job. She advocates a lot at the state level and even the national level. And so she has earned the respect of the community, and she definitely has some influence over community members. Characteristics of our community leaders. Our community leaders are generally conservative, and I mostly mean that in a fiscal sense. We have some more liberal social ideas, but for sure in a fiscal mindset, we're pretty conservative. We also, our community leaders often hold several positions, like our city council. They often hold positions within the church and within their businesses, and so they're widespread. They're connected to a lot of people in the community. And the economic conditions in Dodge City is kind of a two-sided story. In some ways, the economic conditions in Dodge City are really good. We have a low unemployment rate. We have these processing plants that provide lots of jobs for Dodge City. And so the job market is stable. There's economic opportunities for young people who are willing to work hard. And so in some ways, it's good economically. But we also have really low property values, and we have a high poverty rate. 82% of the students in our school district receive free or reduced lunches. So it's kind of a tale of two sides of the coin here. We have a lot of families who work hard to earn a living, but they also support large families, and that kind of puts them into the poverty zone. So we do have economic opportunities, but we also have a large population living in poverty. The political structure. Dodge City is primarily conservative, and despite that conservative position, there is pretty wide sweeping support for spending on education. You should know that Dodge City is a key player in the Gannon School funding lawsuit. And so you've heard that Kansas is in the courts in the state courts for the funding formula, and Dodge City has been a big part of that. One of the issues is that we have low property values, and so if we want to raise funds for school, if we raise our mill, it generates almost no additional income for the school district. So it's hard for us to raise money for our schools because of our economic situation. And so that's kind of why we've entered that lawsuit. But again, Dodge City recently passed an $86 million bond by a 2-to-1 vote. And so there is support for spending money on our schools. It's just that we don't have a lot of money to spend on our schools. So that's kind of the structure of the political climate in Kansas. And there's definitely some social tensions for sure. With the processing plants, there are people from all different cultural backgrounds. Many countries come, many people from lots of different countries come to Dodge City to seek opportunity. And so that creates some cultural tension as these cultures mix together. And then there's some economic tensions in Dodge City. There's definitely a story of the haves and the have-nots. And so that creates some tension. There's also kind of a weird rural versus urban tension. In some ways, we are very rural, very ag-based. But we're a city of 28,000 people with lots of different cultures mixed together, and so it gives kind of an urban feel out here in the middle of Southwest Kansas. So there's some tension there. And to be honest, Dodge City gangs got a bad rap for a long time, and when I first moved to Dodge City, they were kind of a problem. But I think it was 2009 the KBI came in and made some big gang arrests. And that kind of cleaned up the gang problem in Dodge City. And since 2009, we really haven't had an issue with gangs. Granted, there's an occasional issue that arises, but not the kind of problems that we used to have. If you are seeking more information about Dodge City, there are lots of places where you can look. The district website has all kinds of information, and that's a great place for the community to go to get information about Dodge City schools and their performance. There's also the city website, which is dodgecity.org. And again, if you're looking for more school information and maybe the report card from KSDE, you can always go to ksde.org and search for a report card and search the Dodge City School District, USD 443. And then another great website for information about economic opportunities in Dodge is the Economic Development website, and that is dodgedev.org. So one issue for sure that we deal with in Dodge City is the multicultural issues. Like I said, there are people from all around the world who come to Dodge City for opportunity, and so it's kind of a melting pot of cultures. And so what we need to be aware of is that communication must be shared in multiple languages, for sure English and Spanish. And as I said, there are lots of languages that are spoken in Dodge City, so the more we can translate, the better. One thing that the schools need to do a better job at, a thing that we can improve on, is celebrating the cultural differences, celebrating their holidays, celebrating their heritage of the students that are in our school, and then also reflecting those cultures in our school. I know a lot of schools fly flags of all the different countries from where their students come, but there are things that we could do to reflect our students' cultures. For instance, reading books from their culture and those types of things to help celebrate the cultures in our school. Measuring public opinion, the Dodge City School District has done some things to just recently in the last year to kind of collect the opinion of the public. And one of the things that they've done is they have created a survey for students, families, and community members to take, and they've made that an annual thing now, so they'll be doing that on an annual basis. But one area where I think they could improve is interviewing some families. And so I don't know if those are selected randomly or there's some sort of system to choose families to interview. But I think that if rather than a survey where you just collect some general data, I think a personal interview would allow you to get more of the story and more of the opinion of both families and students about the public school system. Another thing is email and text services could be used to keep stakeholders informed about what's happening in the school district. So we talked about the surveys that our school has been doing. And like I said, I think it would be beneficial to select some families to conduct face-to-face interviews so that you could get not only some of the quantitative data, but also some of the qualitative data. And that is it for my Module 5. I appreciate you listening and learning about Dodge City. And I look forward to hearing about other schools and communities